Ladies and gentlemen, a warm hand of applause for Martijn Wismeijer. Martijn, we're going to have just a casual conversation, but I think you're pioneering a very, very cool place, because you're one of the very few actual cryptocurrency businesses in the Netherlands, but also in Czechia, rolling out a vast network of Bitcoin ATMs. So can you tell me a bit about how that started for you, the whole business?
I used to work at the bank. I was like doing home security for home banking systems. So eventually when I discovered Bitcoin, I met here in Amsterdam, I met our founder, Karel Kijovsky. He was from the Czech Republic. So that's 5 years and 6 weeks ago. We thought the blockchain technology is going to like change the world, but how are we going to make people join the network? I had big problems getting my first Bitcoins because there weren't many ways to actually join the crypto community. There's no way to exchange. I believe there were no Dutch exchanges at the time. So we've always been makers. So this is why we thought, maybe make a machine that will allow me to purchase some crypto and later sell crypto, and first Bitcoin, then all the other coins. So gradually we've grown out to be the second largest manufacturer worldwide in this space. So there's like many competitors, but we're the fastest growing. So I think partly because we support many different cryptocurrencies, and now since last week, Ethereum tokens. So if you're doing anything with tokens, or you're doing ICO project, dirty word as I've learned just now, but then our machines are well, I think because we have the best feature sets at the best price. It's easy to actually be market leader then.
You have your own factory.
Correct. The company is based in Czech Republic. We have another company, a limited liability company in Florida, Bradenton. Most of our clients are in the US. So for this reason, we want to be like close to our clients and not just support, but also warehouse and everything. We manufacture everything in Czech Republic. I heard earlier today that there's like lots of opportunity in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, this is not how we experience it. There's many people wanting to manage, many people, we create apps, but we don't produce anything. We don't have any factories. In the Czech Republic, everybody's born a maker, I sometimes joke. So it's we were able to manufacture just outside of Prague. We fold the steel, we paint it, we design the motherboards. In Prague, we do our R&D, coding with a small group with 28 people. But I think we just sold over 2,040 now. I'm still counting the machines, 2,040 machines, of which 1,000 were sold in the last year. So you can see the exponential growth is really there.
And what are the main reasons for your clients to buy these machines? What do they want to achieve with it? Of course, they want to enable other people to get crypto or exchange it. But why do they want to do it?
I think our client base is gradually shifting. At first, we saw many mom and pop companies like a hotel, and the son was into that gamer currency called Bitcoin, and they wanted an ATM, so they bought one machine and placed it in their lobby. Over the past year, we've seen that most of our larger clients, they have many machines. They already operate a network of regular ATMs in the US. And what they're doing now is they're adding cryptocurrency ATMs next to the existing ATMs. The reason why they're purchasing from a cryptocurrency ATM is because the requirements, AML, KYC requirements, are totally different than existing ATMs. I said, like on an existing ATM, you need what? PIN code, there's maybe a camera, and you need a card. On a crypto ATM, we've got biometrics, there's like AML, KYC, there's scanning, selfie scans, there's identity card scanning, there's lots of extra electronics required in those machines to be able to, comply with existing laws and regulations. So for most of our clients, they see it as a business opportunity that they add something to their existing offering, usually regular ATMs, that now they can add crypto, which is going to be the next frontier. So they don't want to miss out. So they add crypto, and their business model is adding a fee on it. So they do make a fee on every transaction.
But here you have all these things installed on your machines. It seems like quite a task to use it. How does that work?
Well,
I mean, what do I, as a user, have to prove basically before I can?
that depends. We switch all the features are there in the machines, and we produce them in Czech Republic, and we ship them everywhere, worldwide. But in many countries, there is no regulation regarding crypto. But there is always existing regulation regarding cash money. The cash money is heavily regulated everywhere in the world. So depending on local laws and regulations, we help them to switch on or off the correct features. So, for example, sorry, I forgot your question, Rutger.
So as a user, I mean, you have all these checks. So you have biometrics, you have the selfie scan, you have all these kinds of things. What do I actually have to use of all that range of features to get to use the machine? Is it very complicated for users, or is it very light?
It's the end user. It's just following the instructions on screen. Data, AML KYC data is stored at the operator. It's in a log file, so they can't just like change it themselves. So it's also to protect them from bad actors within the company. Depending on the regulations, they're either required to provide a phone number for a one-time PIN. In the US, by having the phone number, we are able to see whether that phone is actually registered to that person. So if then they show their identity card, then the operator can see, hey, the identity card is the same as the identity that pays for the phone bill. Or is it a burner phone that might already be trigger high risk? While making a transaction, the machines can take pictures, so the operator can check, is that the same person using the ATM as the person that registered for the ATM services. Personally, I believe we should at least have some financial freedom. Unfortunately, we're the most visible part of the cryptocurrency ecosphere. If we don't comply, we'll be the first ones to get slapped and be closed up shop. So for this reason, I always tell our clients, don't try to be the best boy in class, just comply with local laws and regulations. We provide the tools to do so. I've been reading into this AML-D5, and one of the things is that we'll have to link identities of our end users to the cryptocurrency addresses that they purchase their crypto on. Of course, this is great from a regulatory viewpoint, but makes no sense in the case of Dash, Monero, and all the other privacy coins.
Yeah.
What we'll see is that many more privacy layers will be added to cryptocurrency in response to regulation. This is probably what will happen. On the other hand, it's something we've already been doing for years because of regulations in the US. So I don't see any problem complying to a new regulation, especially AML-D5. I do think that we shouldn't try to over-regulate this. I think about according to chain analysis, doing blockchain analysis, they analyzed the blockchain transactions, and they found that roughly 5% of all transactions in crypto are potentially suspect. Doesn't directly mean there's something really wrong, but there's potentially something wrong. Compared to cash money, that's around what I understood, about 10%. I think we've done a good job in cleaning up our act, especially compared to the years when most crypto was used to buy stuff on the dark markets, like the Silk Road. I think we've come a long way. We will keep providing those tools required to check. I do, however, think that over-regulation will probably.
So in the past, let's say 3 years. I mean, you already mentioned that the Netherlands wasn't your prime spot. Was that because you couldn't get a bank account, for example?
That's a thing in itself. Bank accounts is a different problem altogether. In a way, we do want more transparency. Also, when we get new clients, we try to figure out what's their background. In the US, it's easy. We can check whether they got a history of financial crimes. If that's the case, we're not selling them any machines.
Yeah, so for everybody to understand, a client is somebody that purchases a machine, not the actual
Correct,
user.
those are our clients. Now I lost your
Yeah,
question
no
again.
problem. So we were talking about getting a bank account.
But we find that's extremely hard for most of our clients, the ATM operators. What we see is like the banks can just say, oh, I think you're to a high risk, and we're closing your account. So even though we want more transparency, and also from the ATM operator side, they want more transparency, it is still not transparent because there's lots of cash money moving around. It would be far more transparent if they would be allowed to open a bank account and deposit it, because it's also for auditing purposes. It's easy, you know. They can see in the log files how much money has been turned over in revenue, and how much is deposited. So I think we have to make sure that at least the ATM operators are able to just deposit the cash into their accounts. And what we see right now is that banks use any SIRA or whatever the excuse to say, oh, no, you're too high risk. So basically driving them away. And one thing with money is money usually goes where it's well treated. So some of our operators just move the whole operation abroad and run their ATMs from elsewhere. I think this is a missed opportunity. It's also one of the reasons our company is in the Czech Republic and not in a place like the Netherlands, because
you get a bank account there.
I'm banking with, I'm not allowed to say a Bunk, because it's one of the few banks that actually wants me as a client. But, but for the rest, in the bank account in the Czech Republic, we have fewer problems. What we do see in the Czech Republic is that the smaller banks are put under pressure from their correspondent banks in the US. So even though the bank itself might be open to cryptocurrency or crypto businesses, it's their correspondence banks that will, from the US, that will just use their force to say, if you don't stop your crypto clients, then we'll cancel your correspondence account. And because there's a lot of business going on through the US or in US dollars, usually the banks will say, okay, find somebody else.
So where do you see that going? I mean, is there some way to break through? I mean, what would why would a bank, or why should a bank provide an account, considering all the risks? It's also maybe lack of knowledge about what could happen, but considering all these risks that where they could lose their license or get a hefty penalty, or...
We've seen banks here in the Netherlands require one of our ATM operators to hand over all their customer details.
Of course,
so that's everything. So I think there is I think they will know that we use AML KYC. But it's just an excuse to push them out because they're potentially competition. But until our operators are allowed to have a bank account without too much problems, I think transparency will not be there. And any regulation we create will not really be effective. I think the regulations are good. The problem, most of it we comply already or exceed. We even currently working on ways that we can enhance AML KYC at the ATMs by scanning the identity of the person using it, but not just taking a photographic picture, but by scanning the chip, so that that every European ID has got a chip, so that we either scan it via NFC, which we already have, or via chip reader, and that way we'll be able to identify every user of the ATM. And there is no point in even faking, a photoshopped ID won't work because you won't be able to fake the chip inside the ID. But it's all a bit fruitless if we don't allow our operators to open a bank account. I mean, that's the most transparent thing. Is that way we can check how much money is going through those companies. I mean, it's $40 to $60 million every month going through through the ATMs worldwide. And I think it's a small amount for a for a financial institution, but I think it's a huge step for crypto.
From a retail point of view, it's quite a lot. So you're scanning my passport. How is my privacy protected, Martijn?
Well, anonymity versus privacy. I mean, regulators will regulate. So
yeah, okay. But is there a way
for smaller,
to?
for example, for smaller amounts, I believe AMLD5 allows for up to 150. Correct me if I'm wrong. $150 or euros before AML KYC has to take place. So there would be a very small amount would be allowed as an anonymous transaction. There's a limit to the amount of anonymous transactions. So if people try to do a smurfing attack, meaning breaking a large amount up into smaller bits, then the machine would lock down by itself. Above that, they'll just have to, they have to provide identity. I think this is, in a way, even though I personally believe that, financial freedom is one of our core freedoms. If you don't have any financial freedom, you're not really free. We're rapidly moving towards a society where there is no financial freedom because everything is paid with a card or like contactless payment. So this cash money is gradually going away out of our society. So I think cryptocurrency gives us an option here. I don't know. I don't have the right answer. It's just that we comply with whatever regulation there is, but
it takes also away some of the freedoms.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's the balance we're exploring, of course, while also you are building it and working with your clients. When we prepared for this, you also told me that you were pretty picky on your clients, right? I mean, yeah, you can imagine that it's pretty easy to take your profit from a casino into your ATM.
Exactly. Well, as I said, if we find out that a client has a history of financial crime, in Europe we can't check that because privacy regulations. So again, there's this friction. We can't check that, and some of our clients who are starting out as a very good client, they turn, they move over to the dark side. I think partly pushed by not being able to open a bank account. At the same time, in the US, we can check and we can see, we can check if clients have a history of financial crimes. If that's the case, well, it would be foolish to sell them an ATM. Mm-hmm. We want to really change the world for the better. We don't think we can change the world if we would place our machines primarily in casinos. So for this reason, we don't really like any locations in casinos. At first, that's also, we never sold to like gambling. We could have probably had triple market share if we would have sold to casinos, but we're very strict about that. We really want to make a better place, the world a better place, and gambling usually doesn't really create a better world.
So do you foresee compliance at fully automated at the protocol level when you use your machines? Is that something you foresee happening? And with that question also, how could the collaboration between regulators and operators and your company look like?
That's a good question, Rutger. What I've seen on the earlier presentations, one of the earlier presentations, that even though we have the AMLD5, which is a European framework, then there is a local, national implementation, and local reporting of suspicious transactions has to be done on a national level, which for us makes it a little bit more complicated because we would rather see that it's like a European-wide standard which we can use to make reports about any transactions. We've recently opened up the source code, so it allows for the creation of plugins. So whenever there's a transaction done on an ATM, we can do automatic reporting to not just your accountant, but to any regulatory body that needs to know about the transactions. So we are gradually, opening our source code to make this possible. I think by 2020 we'll be fully operational and everything. Usually it doesn't take so long. It's just a matter of a few months hard work, and then we'll probably have everything ready. It's just for us, it would have been better if we would have seen some like European standard on which this reporting would have to be done. Because now we'll see, well, every European member state will have their own ways of implementing that. So yeah, it just creates a lot of work for us.
So if you look at the political landscape, when we look at cryptocurrency, a lot of voices are talking about more the bad and the ugly side of crypto. You're working each day to work on the good side of that. What should really change when you look at the last, let's say, year or 2 years? What should really change in the debate? Because you have been working with the clients, with the users. You've seen Bitcoin for years already growing and growing. What should fundamentally change in the way we talk about this?
I think a lot of times we still see that cryptocurrencies are like deemed like dark market currency. While, as you know from the blockchain of the hackathon, that's not the case. It's just a technology, and a technology that will change the world for the better. From a regulatory viewpoint, I think we have to realize this. Don't try to over-regulate it. Provide a good base, because for the first time in 50 years, we have a new way of storing data in a blockchain. So we shouldn't immediately try to regulate it. I think, yes, we have to. I would prefer to see a sort of self-regulation, just like the model Japan did, where there is a regulatory body that just self-regulates the industry. And from my viewpoint, that makes most sense because people are knowledgeable, and they'll be able to identify bad actors usually quite fast.
And they learn a bit from Mt. Gox, perhaps.
Oh yeah, you lost money there too?
No.
I lost so much money there. Yeah. Mt. Gox, Bitfinex, less than trustworthy business partner when I started. No. I lost most of my Bitcoins. This is also the reason I created the chip implants at the time.
Yeah. That works.
Well, I don't store anything on it. It's still vulnerable to a $5 wrench attack. Like, hey, give me your password, and then I hit you on the head.
Yeah.
So, but if you're more discreet about it, then it definitely works.
Okay. So I think also in the Q&A, it can be very interesting, especially also for the teams. I think more on the entrepreneurial side. You've been working in the space for so long, really to exchange knowledge on how things actually are going when you're on the forefront of these developments. Because as a blockchain business, it is doable to get a bank account. As a crypto business, it's a lot harder. You can think all kinds of things about it, but I think that you managed to run a prudent business with 28 people and growing. It looks like it means you're doing something very right, and that we can learn a lot from that. So I think for now I want to thank you very much for all the answers, and that you took us with us on your journey. And if anyone wants to know more, you can join the Q&A with Martijn. A warm hand of applause. Thank you very much.